Go, 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 let's get it. I'm a trapping fanatic, that shit automatic, so I cannot turn it on or off. Bitches all on my dick, then she hop on my dick, I'm like, why you keep hopping on and off? Your bitch all on my dick, she be doing the most. I tell her, little bitch, she so extra. And my gun up on me, but not run up on me. Niggas, they wanna fight, they some wrestlers.
Yoriichi stands in front of Upper Moon 1 Kokoshibo, who used to be his brother, Michikatsu. Tears swell in his eyes, as he doesn't even know what to say. Kokoshibo is only one who's confused, as he doesn't understand how is his brother alive at that age, especially since he was one of the first, well, the very first, to unlock the Slayer mark. Not only that, but what could he have been doing for so long that he could never find him? Their battle is the same as in the original, but this time, Yoriichi isn't cut in half. His arms are severed and he's left standing. It's alright, Michikatsu. We will have our battle in another lifetime as true brothers. The demon screams as he hates that man and then slices him in half, revealing the flute that he had given to them in their childhood. Tears slowly fall from the eyes of the demon, who looks to his brother. He disappeared into the night, hoping that Yoriichi's words would never come true. It seems that now Kokoshibo was awakened from his nap by being summoned by Muzan to the Infinity Castle. A meeting was called, with all of them, meaning that an Upper Moon had been killed. It infuriates Muzan, as Tanjiro was the one to do so. He tells the Upper Moons to kill Tanjiro, no matter the cost. As he casted them away, now we see Tanjiro headed back to the Butterfly Mansion. He explains that he needs a new blade, but his blacksmith is currently in hiding, believing his work to be a failure so far. The blacksmiths or swordsmiths actually take Tanjiro to their village, where he would have to wait to find his personal blacksmith. Tanjiro can't even be blindfolded just because he has a see-through world already, so instead they knock him out and take him there. He arrives many days later to the swordsmith village, instantly realizing that something is here. He has flashes to Yoriichi coming to this place as well. Tanjiro doesn't even go to the hot springs, as he heads right to a nearby forest that calls to him. He follows his memories, as it leads him to Kotetsu and the old Yoriichi doll. Kotetsu was working on the doll when he realized that Tanjiro was watching him. Seeing the black and gold kimono, he stood and then bowed. The legendary Ronin, Tanjiro Tsukigikuni, you're actually here. No need to bow. What is your name? It's Kotetsu. Is that so? Can you tell me something? This doll, why was it made? Kotetsu explains its purpose, while Tanjiro stares blankly into its eyes. I see, but why the 6 arms? It was the only way to replicate the man's movements. My ancestor was that fast? Well, I shouldn't be surprised. Kotetsu, since it might be a while before I leave this place, do you mind if I partake in training with this doll? The boy steps back, feeling the serious presence of Tanjiro and how he must really want to train with this doll. As, to be honest, when looking at them together, they kind of look like father and son if it wasn't a doll with 6 arms. Are you sure it can make you, well, someone like you stronger? I must try. Even if it's only by a little bit, I have to get stronger. Kotetsu admired this so much and allowed Tanjiro to begin his training. During this month of intense training, Tanjiro, the Sun Ronin, embarked on a very transformative journey with the Yoriichi doll. Despite already possessing incredible strength, Tanjiro's training with the doll pushed him to new heights of power and skill. Assisting Tanjiro every step of the way was Kotetsu. He was more than just a young kid. He had a talented brain that was meant for this. This grueling training regimen tested his physical and his mental limits. There were plenty of times during this where Tanjiro believed he wouldn't even make it. He got so into his training that he forgot to eat some days. Tanjiro and the doll of his ancestor constantly danced in battle, and through this training, Tanjiro learned that he wasn't even as fast as he had believed. This doll's acceleration was something that he could marvel at. Day after day, Tanjiro tirelessly honed his skills, striking the Yoriichi doll with precision and unwavering determination. Each strike was imbued with his unyielding spirit and unbreakable resolve. As the weeks passed, Tanjiro's movements became more fluid, his strikes more powerful, as the hours of training had transformed him into a force to be reckoned with. His techniques, once impressive, now became awe-inspiring. Finally, after countless hours of relentless practice, Tanjiro had reached a turning point, as with one single strike, he completely overwhelmed the doll, shattering its defenses and leaving it in pieces. Tanjiro doesn't even hesitate to cut through the doll with one final swing. Kotetsu was amazed at the sun-breathing Ronin, believing that this would be impossible. But what was revealed was a special sword. Looking at it, Tanjiro didn't even know what to think what it was. Where have I seen this blade before? Kotetsu would pull it out while Tanjiro was taking a rest, only to be pushed to the ground by Muichiro while he was looking at the blade. "Hey, what are you doing?" Tanjiro earned that blade. Muichiro looks at Tanjiro, who was laid on his back on a rock, sweating and breathing heavily. He takes the blade over to Tanjiro, apologizing, and dropping it to his feet. Tanjiro thanked him and asked him why he was here. Muichiro explained that he came for a new sword as well as some training, but it seems Tanjiro had already beat him to the legendary doll. They both take a look at what was left at it and smiled. How was it? Tanjiro stands, while stating it was worse than he could have imagined, as Muichiro would smile once again, stating that he must be ready to be sent on a mission at any time once his blade was prepared. Tanjiro nods and walks away. The search for Hotaru still continues. While the villagers still search for him, Tanjiro begins taking a rest, as he has completed his training. He goes to the hot springs, running into the love Hashira, Mitsuri, who tells him that he's pretty amazing. Tanjiro does comment on his odd feeling, but he can't pinpoint its cause. She states it's most likely because he didn't rest enough during his training, and points him towards the hot springs. He then walks in, believing she was right, and soaks himself in. As he sits there, he hears someone else coming into the water, opening his eyes to see Genya, the brother of the Wind Hashira. Tanjiro waves, but then drifts into his own sleep, with Genya beginning to praise Tanjiro and how strong he was based on just his muscle mass and lean body, even though he was a little bit smaller than him. He then noticed that he kept remembering all the stories around this village about Tanjiro's training, and he's nothing but amazed, wishing he could be like him. While asleep, Tanjiro can also hear the voice of his father, telling him to awaken and protect someone. As in another part of the village, we see Upper Moon 5, Gyoko, about to kill a villager. He goes to cut the small man in half, but he's saved by Tanjiro, who is still wearing his bathrobe. Alert the village and the other Hashira that we're under attack, and send someone with some extra swords to this location. The man nods, running off, with Tanjiro turning his head to now face this demon. Another upper moon. The rank in his eyes indicates 5, so he should be stronger than the last 2 that we'd faced. And if that's the case, Tanjiro then is unexpectedly forced into the air. That was fast, but it shouldn't be a problem. Gyoko states that Tanjiro is the target, and since he has no katana, this should be even easier to kill him. Tentacles rush towards Tanjiro, who just avoids them while looking around to make sure the citizens do have time to evacuate, as he leads the demon from this area. He keeps avoiding attacks, as he can't even get close to the demon thanks to him not having a blade to cut through the tentacles. So for now, this exchange continued to be evenly matched on both sides. Tanjiro then flips away, getting into a hand-to-hand combat stance, as Gyoko looks ahead, wondering what he was doing, and then had a realization. In a way, Tanjiro was mimicking Upper Moon Akaza. But how did this brat learn this technique? No, He doesn't know it. Tanjiro then takes a deep breath in, remembering the hand-to-hand combat training that he had from his father. It wasn't Akaza's stance, but it was very similar. As he rushed in, using his newfound speed, and then kicked Gyoko into a building. Is he even human? The power of that kick shouldn't be possible. This is when we see Tanjiro above him swing his fist down, but is caught. I've got you now. Gyoko assumes that he would try to strike with his left hand, but he's put into the daze by a headbutt, as Tanjiro flips away, seeing a sword in the building and grabbing it. Finally, now the real battle can begin. He unsheathes it, and gets in his usual stance. Mitsuri and Muichiro had already linked up, but were shocked to find no demons in the village where they were. This didn't make sense at all, as they should be under attack and multiple have been spotted. However, we quickly cut back to Tanjiro to see him surrounded by 5 demons, Gyoko, and all of Hantango's clones. Sakido, representing his anger, stated that they'll kill him now because Lord Muzan has ordered his death. Tanjiro stood with a blade in his hand, defending himself. So this is how you dishonorable creatures wish to take action. So be it. I will not fail, and I will not fall until the sun rises. Tanjiro becomes serious, with his slayer mark beginning to glow. I am the Sun Ronin, Tanjiro Tsukigikuni, and you will not defeat me here. He begins to use total concentration, however the demons make their move. Tanjiro ducks under their first attacks, making his own swing. He's pushed back on the defensive, where he looks around, noticing that this was just the beginning. Gyoko's tentacles made it even harder for Tanjiro to then focus, as he was avoiding their attacks left and right, until a mist began to appear around Upper Moon 5. Both his arms would be cut off, as one of the clones was killed as well. Mitsuri and Muichiro had arrived just in time, telling Tanjiro that the people are evacuated from this area. The breath of relief leaves the Ronin's body, as he looks up, focusing even more on what's in front of him. All the training that he's done to become stronger will now be put to use. Ancestor, guide me to victory. Both Hashira can't even see Tanjiro as he moves ahead. Hinokami Kagura. This beautiful flames surround his blade once more as he slices through Upper Moon's 5 attacks, and then its body. Upper Moon 4 and its clones then stand, and they try to crowd Tanjiro, who then speaks no words. All they could see was Yoriichi. This makes them scared, but quickly they begin to focus, dodging his attacks and the ones of the other Hashira. Since one of the clones was already killed, each one of them could have their own one-on-one battles, as Tanjiro takes on Karaku, representing his pleasure. The two have a stare down, with Karaku not noting if he could even defeat Tanjiro by himself, but the pleasure of battle made the demon smile, and Tanjiro wasted no time jumping in once again. I won't drag out any more of my battles. This will be over quickly. Tanjiro appears behind the demon and went to slice its neck off. However, his blade shattered in his hands, causing him to be knocked away into the forest by Karaku, who chases after him. Muichiro goes to help, except Orogi swoops in, attacking him. Not so fast. I can't allow you to intervene. This is our only chance to kill him, so we won't miss it. Muichiro performs his 8-layered mist, cutting right through one of its wings, and then becoming increasingly serious. For a long time, I had forgotten everything. But Tanjiro was the one who made me remember who I truly am. As we see Muichiro take a dive into his past, remembering his brother and his father, and how he became a Hashira, unlocking his own Slayer mark in this battle. I will get by you in order to save Tanjiro. We go to Tanjiro, who was laying against a broken tree, looking at his blade. Damn it, it's no good. This is when he looks to his right. They see Karaku about to attack, but he's shot multiple times by Genya, who had arrived with Kotetsu. Tanjiro would look up, seeing his new blade in his hands, as Kotetsu tosses it through the air so that Tanjiro can grab it, and he unsheathes it quickly. It was done earlier, thanks to Hotaru not being attacked by the demons. Kotetsu then says that he passed out from exhaustion after finishing the blade, but he told him to deliver it to Tanjiro. This one should never break, no matter what. Tanjiro unsheathed it, with it turning black, but the edge red. This feels different. Kuraku has true fear strike his body as he looks at Tanjiro's gaze. Those eyes. Why do they remind me of him? Tanjiro vanished, appearing behind him. Not bad, but I can still see you. Kuraku slices through Tanjiro with his claws, only for it to be the fake rainbow technique, as Tanjiro then slices off his head, letting it fall to the ground without even breaking a sweat. That's 2. Now 2 more to go. Tanjiro begins running back to the area where he's able to witness the awakening of his fellow Hashira, with both of them fully utilizing their Slayer marks, allowing them to win this battle, especially when working together. Hantengu then panics and summons Zohakuten. Trees then come from the ground with dragons on them, attacking the Slayers, catching them off guard. But Tanjiro jumps in the way, slicing right through them. No more running. I will end this pointless battle. The demon then sends even more trees back to back with compressed sound waves, only for the Sun Ronin to ignore his efforts, as if he wasn't affected at all. Tanjiro swiftly evaded the onslaught of the trees, leaping and then somersaulting through the air with acrobatic grace. Upper Moon 4 was not one to relent, unleashed compressed sound waves again towards Tanjiro, aiming to disorient him and also weaken him. The deafening waves then crashed on Tanjiro's eardrums, threatening and throw him off balance. However, his training and determination allowed him to endure it for just a little while longer, as his unwavering resolve pushing him forward. With the powerful swing of his new red blade, Tanjiro released a flurry of strikes towards the demon, as each one of them was imbued with his newfound strength, cutting through the air with precision and intensity alongside his flames. The demon would sense danger, maneuvering swiftly, utilizing his tree manipulation to then get around and also create a shield of thick branches, barely deflecting Tanjiro's attacks, but it didn't even deflect him as Tanjiro sliced through them like butter. He then also noticed that even though he evaded some of Tanjiro's attacks, they had also reached him, leaving burn marks all over his bodies, as he wouldn't even believe that this was possible. The demon would also notice that the other Hashira began helping out Tanjiro as much as they could. The 3 regrouped, with Tanjiro stating that he will be the one to finish off this enemy, but the 2 of them must hunt down the real body. And they would ask if they really believed that he stood a chance, and he stood in silence. Undeterred, Tanjiro adapted his strategy, combining his swordsmanship with his own superhuman movements. As he danced between Zohakuten's attacks, Tanjiro channeled his fluid and calm nature, striking with unmatched speed and precision. His crimson blade glowed with his flame-like aura, and it sliced through his defenses, leaving gashes in his demonic flesh. I won't allow you to escape now. Sun breathing, raging sun, tenfold. The Slayer continuously performed Raging Sun, allowing more and more slashes to cut through the demon. As in an attempt to turn the tide, he intensified his tree manipulation, causing the force around him to come alive as the dragon snaked towards Tanjiro, attempting to bind him and restrict his movements. As he would sense the danger, Tanjiro tapped into his new heightened strength and agility, evading the entangled dragons. With his nimble footwork and expert swordsplay, the battle then reached its climax as Tanjiro, fueled by his determination and memory of Yoriichi guiding him, was able to perform all 13 forms without any strain. Once again, as his blade would burn with an intense heat, melting through the demon's defenses, and his cries of agony filled the night, as Tanjiro would bring him to his death with his final strike. He then stood, looking around, noticing that this battle was far from over. Kotetsu and Genya, who were in the area, dropped their draws. Tanjiro's burned and ripped kimono flowed through the wind, but his blade was held high above his head. Mitsuri and Mushiro both were having trouble keeping track of the original Tantengu until they realized what time it was. The sun began rising, but all they saw in the field was Nezuko chasing after something that was super small. This was the real Hantengu. As she was being burned by the sun while chasing him, Mushiro ran over and tried to help, but she was so far ahead of him. Luckily, Mitsuri was able to flip over both of them and using her distinct blade, cut off the head, ending this battle once and for all. Mitsuri begins crying seeing Nezuko in so much pain, as Tanjiro arrived moments later to then see that his very own demon sister had just conquered the sun, standing up and even speaking to him. Many weeks do pass as we get right into the reconstruction of the Swordsmith village, as while at the Butterfly Mansion, a Hashira meeting was held about Nezuko. Obiyashiki notes that she has conquered the sun, and Tanjiro nods. Although this may be good, it really suggested that we will have an all-out war very soon. 4 Hashira have already awakened. No, 5 of you have already awakened. The legendary marks from the past, as these are the former marks of the swordsmen who have gotten very close to killing Muzan. I wish for you to help the rest of the Hashira unlock these marks, and any other slayers who you believe can. They asked Tanjiro and the others to describe the feeling, and after this meeting, each of them has a better understanding of it, as now, they must begin their own training with their swordsmen. For quite some time, the slayers do their training under the Hashira. Since Tanjiro is basically a Hashira, he was part of the trainers group as well. As the first person to arrive to his own training was actually Kanao. She was greeted in the area with flame-lit torches around. Tanjiro stood in the center with no shirt and his blade in his hand, waiting. She remembered the words of Shinobu, telling her that this training from the Ronin swordsman will be life or death. This is only awarded to those select few that have been chosen by the Hashira to personally unlock their slayer marks. She looks ahead, entering the large ring. Tanjiro vanishes while opening his eyes. He attacks first and she blocks, but is sent through the area. That strike, it might have just killed me just now. Is this what she meant by life or death? Mid-thought, she was caught by a punch that hit her right in her ribs as she coughs up blood, looking back up at Tanjiro. Stand and fight. Your enemy may be even stronger than me. No, they will be. So fight or perish. Sun breathing. Hinokami Kagura. Flames and surge around Tanjiro as he continuously strikes Kanao. She's cut over and over again by his blade as she feels this hellish sensation of it. Before she could even counter, she then passed out. Kanao wakes up to Nezuko healing her wounds with her flames. As she looks ahead, seeing Inosuke in the ring with Tanjiro. His wildlike movements were doing him, well, fair in this battle. But Tanjiro was going for the kill, and he wasn't playing around. He held nothing back, and for someone like Inosuke who was less experienced, he was cut across his arm, making him drop his blade. No, don't stop. I'm not done yet. Inosuke was then kicked in his throat and knocked out by Tanjiro. Nezuko looks at Kanao, leaning her on a rock to rest, as she then walks over, grabbing Inosuke as well, as this is when Zenitsu would later arrive. He began panicking after noticing that this training was actually with Tanjiro. Tanjiro knocked him out and Nezuko sighed, saying that was quick. But his hand went out as she sat back down, watching the real Zenitsu wake up, grabbing his blade. If you were to be my opponent, then I will hold nothing back, Tanjiro. Thunder breathing. First form. Thunderclap and flash. Zenitsu dashes around Tanjiro, striking him from his side, only for him to block and then counter. You're fast, but you'll need even more than that. Tanjiro and Zenitsu go back and forth clashing with Tanjiro, who began to enjoy this training just a little bit, but he couldn't afford to toy around with them. Sun breathing. Sun Halo Dragon Dance. These flames completely consume Zenitsu and defeat him. Tanjiro then waits for them all to be awakened and healed, as once they were, he states that they will continue this training until they unlock their slayer marks. Since you four are looked at as the next generation of Hashira, I will do my best to make sure that these expectations of you are met. You may quit if you want to, but I will never lose faith in your abilities. Now, are you ready to continue?" They nod, and the training begins once again. Many more days of this continue to happen, but then one night, Ubuyashiki, who was bedridden, had someone pay him a visit. The demon lord himself, Muzan, stood in the moonlit night, allowing it to reflect off of his pale skin, with the cold breeze in the air swaying his dark hair, and he opened his red eyes, looking forward at the sick man, who could barely even turn towards him, noticing his presence. "So, you came. What a horrid state you seem to be in, Ubuyashiki."